Hi everybody, I'm Cadenza, and this is Imaginaria. This is an interesting little game developed by a small team called Orbis Tertius Games and released originally back in 2021. The itch page does a pretty good job describing what it is, I think, so I'll just quote from that directly. Quote, inspired by the developer's experiences living in Antarctica for 15 months, Imaginaria is equal parts visual novel, point-and-click adventure, walking sim, and documentary, end quote. It is indeed all those things, and is if nothing else pretty fascinating. So we're gonna take a walk through an Antarctic research station and maybe learn some things along the way. Before we begin, the only content warning I can think of is there is pixel art depiction of a dead whale, and I think some detail is used to describe it, but other than that, should be fine. If at any point this game seems interesting, you can go buy it on itch.io for $6, or if you happen to purchase the bundle for Ukraine, then you already have this game and I recommend you play it. Having said all that, let's go ahead and get started. Imaginaria is both a night watch and the night watcher. It's a military term, and supposedly comes from Latin imaginarius, relative to a mental figure. Perhaps because under Imaginaria duty, the mind likes to wander too. Here in Antarctica, we do them since the incident. And tonight, I am Imaginaria. I don't mind doing the watch at this hour. I couldn't sleep anyway. That's a mood. Pretty simple interface. You can save whenever you want. You can go back to the main menu, or you can quit straight out. Holding down the left mouse will bring up all the things you can look at, and this is your to-do list. For the Imaginaria, I need to check every building in the station. But first I need to get dressed and start walking. Antarctica is very dry, so I keep this water bottle in case I need to wet my throat during the night. I keep it far from the door and far from the heater, so the water is cold but not frozen. The window is covered with cardboard almost all year round. During winter it's too dark to see anything, and it helps with insulation. During summer, the sun at night drives me crazy. This is my laptop, my piece of home. I'm spending the dead of winter learning pixel art and creating a game engine to make interactive fiction. Either one will be useful, maybe. I think that turned out pretty okay, considering. This is my radio. I take it with me all the time. It's the only sure way of being found. There is no phone signal here, and the Wi-Fi works only inside the buildings. When you go outside the station, you need to always take a radio with you, and announce where you go. There's supposed to be a radio person on call all the time to register these movements, but, you know. I don't, but I'll take your word for it. Antarctica is cold, and to go outside you need to get dressed in layers. There is a first layer, or first skin, made of thermal long johns and an undershirt. I could do with some long johns, to be honest. The second layer is made of thick fleece, and the third layer is water and windproof trousers and jacket. We also have an extra big and puffy feather jacket for the glacier, which smells really bad when wet. Me, I like to wear these overalls. They're warm enough that I only need the first skin underneath in warm nights like this one. They're great for working and walking about, but you can't stay still for long or you get cold. My feet are always cold, even with these boots and 2 pairs of socks. Relatable. I'm ready to go out. I bought some slippers for myself recently, and they were a good investment. Should save on having to keep a space heater near my feet all day. The heater keeps the temperature inside above 0. Handy. I think that's everything we've looked at in here, so go ahead and leave. Every time you go out, You need to get dressed properly and take the radio, even in quiet nights like this one. There was a guy who went out to get some cheese and got lost. They found him the next day, scared witless and with hypothermia, but alive. I saw him during the summer. He told me his side of the story. He went out to get some cheese and got lost. He thought he was going to die. For cheese. For the Imaginaria, I need to check every building in the station, making sure they're not on fire. This is my satellite cabin. There are 4 in the station. We call them tomatoes because they're red and round. They're made of fiberglass, which means they're very light and cold. During storms, they shake, and so do I. It is not on fire. Clicking on the door will just take us back inside the cabin, but we can look at the other stuff too. The windows and this curious little thing. Covered with cardboard so no one can spy on me. The other one will say the same thing. This hatch lets you get out of the tomato in case it gets buried in snow. Let's check that to-do list real quick. I still need to check the new lab, the old lab, the new house, the storehouse, the geodesy project, the gym, the cold storage room, my office, the repair shop, and the incinerator. You can check this as you go, and the list will update as you check on things, which is nice. The cove is frozen. It's been like that for a few months now. You can still hear some water moving under, and when the tide is high, you can see the ice moving up and down. Looks like it's breathing. That's a weird sight, I bet. I always wanted to be a cosmonaut, but apparently I'm too short. Next best thing was this, so here I am. I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of feel like cosmonaut is a bit of a cooler word than astronaut is. Like, they're the same thing, pretty much, but I don't know, I just think cosmonaut sounds cooler. Anyway. This shack is a little shelter people use when they're loading the fuel tanks. Everything in the station runs on antarctic fuel, a special mix of jet fuel that can withstand the extreme temperatures. Every summer, they have to replenish the tanks to last for the whole campaign, until the next summer. The task takes about a day and a night, and that's why there's a shelter. But after that, it doesn't have much use. This is the farthest I can go on foot. There's a few more buildings out there, but I should take the skidoo if I want to check them out. Cursed fuel shelter. These metal planks are all over the place. These ones in particular are here to help the amphibian boats get out of the water. But you can find them spread around many stations, put to use in different ways or just lying about. It's a very Kafkian story. Many years ago, some station architect made an order for these things in bulk. For some reason or other, they never arrived, and whatever project they were going to be used for was cancelled. About 12 years later, governments changed, and so did the management for Antarctica. Someone started clearing backlogs, so the planks were bought, and they finally got to the ice. But what for? No one knows anything about them, and the architect has long since died. But the planks are there, in great quantities. The first bad idea someone had was to lay them all flat on the ground and make a little plane runway. Oh no. After a few crash landings, the runway was dismantled and the planks started appearing all over the place. Ships take them from one station to another. Some end up here, some further south. No one dares to take them back, in case someone finally remembers what they were here for in the first place. I'm not entering this thing. It's a T3 trap. Last time I got in, I was with a biologist going for the weekly mammal census. It was very icy, and we decided to stop here to put on the crampons before leaving the station. I'm not sure what word I was going to say instead of station, but it wasn't station. Inside, we found a bag of cookies, only 2 years past its due date, The good stuff. Ah, only the freshest. We ate some and promptly forgot what we were doing. The crampons, the census, everything. After debating what to do, we decided to return to the station. It was no use to just stay here, freezing our asses. Luckily, after we got out and slept on the ice a few times, everything came back to us again. We decided to put on the crampons right there on the ice and continue with the census. Here in Antarctica, you get these memory lapses sometimes. They call it the T3, or winter over syndrome. It's quite a weird feeling. I bet it is. Must be easy to experience that, just looking out at the endless white. I wouldn't know. I've never been to Antarctica, obviously. Anyway. This is the new biology lab. It was built a few years ago, but it's so badly made it's already sinking in the sand. Researchers and technicians work here during the summer, processing algae, fish, and the contents of seal stomachs. Gross. It often smells bad, yeah, I wonder why. But it's the closest building to the tomatoes, and it has a bathroom, which is nice. A shovel, to dig your way out in case it snows too much. Excuse me for a moment, I need a drink. My mouth wasn't dry exactly, but I had a little tickle in my throat. When you deal with the after effects of COVID and have a lingering cough for like a month, would not recommend. Anyway, it's not really being used since the summer. All machines are disconnected. Definitely not on fire. Needed another drink, but I guess that's it for here, so. These containers are extensions of the laboratory. The two on the right are pretty old and rusty. The other two are new. New could mean 1 to 10 years old, though. Anything here is labeled as new until something even newer comes around. This one contains a whole new lab for a single person to work in, but you can see up to 5 people in there most times. This is another laboratory. There's light inside. Hey, already 3 o'clock? Yes. Still filtering those samples? I'm almost done. What about you? Just starting the watch. Been to the storeroom already? Not yet. Did you want anything? Maybe something to eat? The good stuff, nothing older than 4 years. I'll see what I can find. Thanks. Will do, unseen biologist. That'll take us back out. Keep your hands to yourself. I wasn't doing anything. I've got mine. Good. Give me a call if you plan to visit our friend. Sure. The thermal breaker switch. Energy is not really stable here, and the machines in the labs are expensive. These jugs contain water from 3 different points and depths around the cove. The samples are taken with a Niskin bottle, which is a sealed bottle on a stick that could be opened and closed from afar. I probably should have looked up how to pronounce that. Oh well. I went once to try and help out with this, but got really seasick. You almost fed the seals that day. A water pump. After the water goes through the filter, it's discarded into this drum, and then dropped back to the sea. At first I thought we kept the filtered water to study or something. But only the paper filters are kept. I wouldn't know what for, though. Don't feel too bad. The previous biologist didn't know either, and it was his job. 3 water filters, but only one is in use. The water goes from the jug to the water pump, and it's forced through the filter, then is discarded in the drum. The paper filter is then saved in a little dish with some chemicals. So you've actually been paying attention to what I say. Sometimes. I like the rapport these two have. A hatch to escape in case the lab gets buried in snow. This is a plastic tablet we use to write things down with a thick marker while out in the field. We clean it with alcohol so it can be reused, but it's stained all over. Fieldwork involves writing down lots of numbers, but paper is not the best material around ice and water. Electronic devices are even worse. Nothing works well when it's really cold. So a plastic tablet it is. What's this? Can I drink it? Acetone. Be my guest. If you don't recognize that name, that's a what's the word? A solvent? You use it to dissolve things. It's like in nail polish remover, stuff like that. These plastic jerry cans are used for keeping many different substances, and so they have to be properly labeled. This one is for drinkable water, labeled as piss. Why wouldn't it be? Inside this container, there's a huge nitrogen machine that occupies the whole room. It makes nitrogen to keep samples frozen while they go back to the continent. This old container is used as a tool deposit. There's all kinds of things in there. Everything old and rusty like the container itself. Old backpacks, some sleds, ancient clothes no one wears anymore, and preserved animal samples. It should all go to the trash, but the old Antarcticans love to tinker inside when they're here in the summer. Alright, moving on. This is the old lab. It also has an office, a few bedrooms, and a small kitchen. The overwinter biologist lives here. He's always pestering me to come live with him, but I prefer the tomato. I'm gonna make a save just in case. You know, if something catastrophic goes wrong and I have to restart the recording for whatever reason. This is a warehouse filled with the most random crap. There's helium tanks, old segments of the big dome, the whole portable hyperbaric chamber, construction materials, crates with old forgotten samples, etc., etc. Everything is turned off. The biologist is in the lab. Nothing on fire. This is a skidoo. We have a few of them around, but most don't work. They're really old, and you can see them in any Antarctica museum around the world. We mostly use them to work on the glacier, but now that it's winter, we keep this one here to move around the station. It doesn't have any fuel. I should get some from the powerhouse. Noted. That's it for this area. This is the old house, the second oldest building of the station, after my lab. It used to be two different buildings, mess hall and meteorology office, and at some point they got joined somehow. The result is a labyrinth of hallways and weirdly shaped rooms. Currently, it allocates the main kitchen and mess hall, the meteorology office, a laundry room, and bedrooms for the chief, the XO, and the two meteorologists. There used to be a cyber cafe before there was Wi-Fi everywhere on the station. Since the incident, the radio station and headquarters also function here. And there's also the only complete bathroom of the whole station, with bathtub and bidet and everything. Had to clear my throat. The kitchen runs on natural gas that comes from these tanks. This is the mess hall. Fridays we have pizza night, and we also get 1 beer and 1 chocolate. I like both of the arrangements of Satie's Gymnopédie No. 1, the feature in this game. It's I don't know, it's nice. The Gymnopédie is one of Satie's most well-known pieces, I would hazard to guess, and you've probably heard it, even if you might not know the name. I've been hearing it in a lot of games lately. Well, not a lot, but 2 in rapid succession. Wildly different. Maybe that other one will be featured on my channel at some point. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Anyway, we got stuff to look at. It's full of candy that no one wants to eat anymore. I never thought I would get to the point of rejecting any candy, but here I am. The first winter crew of the station, back in '82. A little coffee and tea corner we can use whenever we want, though it's used mostly by the researchers in the summer. Most of the winter crew have at least a kitchenette or stove on our workplaces. This is the Imaginaria log. I have to sign on it after completing the watch. I still need to check all these places. I could sign now and go back to bed, but the paranoia won't let go of me yet. Maybe in a few more months I'll be fed up enough to do a lousy job. Was that everything in there? Yeah. Just checking. The meteorology office has a direct exit this way. The meteos have to control the weather station every 3 hours. And the weather station is up on that hill. You can see them running up, sometimes in flip-flops and a t-shirt. No weather guessing is done here. The data is only measured and relayed. This office doesn't need to be inspected for fire, since the meteos are on duty all day and night. And I don't feel like saying hi. Fair enough. There's lots of mossy rocks around here. Moss is the only plant that can survive in Antarctica. It grows only 1 millimeter per year. It's really easy to destroy when you step on it, hence the walkway. North Pole. South Pole. Vladivostok, 17,940 kilometers. That is 11,150 miles, give or take a few, if you were wondering. This is the sick bay. The doc lives here, and he hardly ever goes out. I don't like nor trust this guy. I hope nothing serious ever happens to anyone, because we're totally on our own here. I'm not entering this place. He can burn for all I care. There's a history there that we don't have full context for. Anyway. Oh, whoops. Misread the directions there. This building is called the New House, and it's just a long hallway with bedrooms. It was built at the same time as the new laboratory, and has just as many problems. I used to sleep here during summer, when the station was overcrowded. We shared a 4-bed dorm. God, dorm, that's not a word. We shared a 4-bed dorm between 5 people. Now it's mostly empty, but the bad memories remain. What is this? Contrary to popular belief around here, these are not the remains of a whale or leviathan. Or any other single animal for that matter. These bones were gathered around the island and put together here, as if they belonged to an entire beast. But they're not. It was just someone having a laugh. As one does. We kept glacier ice here, fished from the sea to put in the drinks. By now it's melted and frozen again, so it's still ice, but a bit more disgusting. Handy dandy shovel. This room serves as a kind of airlock or antechamber, so the hallways don't have a direct connection to the exterior. It's also the place to take off your boots, so you don't get mud or snow all over the place. This is an anti-exposure or survival suit. We use them when going out with the boats. They're waterproof, and they make you float if you fall into the water. They also have a whistle incorporated. They're also full of holes and super smelly. It's a very particular odor that we call suit smell and sticks to your clothes and hair. Gross. I can see the storehouse and gym buildings from here. You get some footwear along with the issued clothing when coming here. These boots are big and cozy, but you can hardly walk anywhere with them, and they break in no time. Almost no one wears theirs anymore. House shoes to wear inside the house. Most of us have a few, so we don't have to carry them around the station. These boots are gigantic. I can't imagine a human foot so big to fit inside them. Then again, once I found a bunch of guys laughing at a boot they deemed tiny for baby feet. It was mine. No resentment there, I'm sure. The left wing. It's the wing. Left one. That was bad, I'm sorry. In summer, whenever it rains, a stream runs under the house. It's not supposed to rain down here, but it does. I don't know what the floor is made of, but the constant humidity made it all bumpy. Seems unpleasant. This fire extinguisher has passed its due date for some years. After the incident, all fire extinguishers were inspected, and we found absolutely all of them were expired. It was already winter, so there wasn't much more to do than write a report about it. That seems unsafe. This is the internet access point for the West Wing. It's high up, so no one can play with it. This room is free. Almost no one lives in this wing anymore, besides the divers. The divers share this room. Now that the station is mostly empty, there are lots of free rooms, but they're friends. And they have an 8th generation game console. Ooh. I wonder what they play on it. This isn't related to me happening to be playing it lately at all, obviously. I like to imagine that at least one of them plays Bloodborne. Extra toiletries and toilet paper. Since we stay here for the whole year, we can bring stuff by ship, using these blue barrels. I think this one was mine, but it's empty now. This is one of the shared bathrooms. It has 4 toilet stalls and 4 showers. The floor is extra bumpy in there, and it's not possible to close the door all the way anymore. This used to be my room during the summer. It's cold and damp, and it was often overcrowded. In summer, people come and go, so I had lots of roommates. After the first month here, I got a terrible cough every time I laid down to sleep. It kept getting worse, and I was coughing all day and all night. Sleeping was hard, but eating was even worse. A kitchen helper, who stayed here for half the summer, used to jump from the bed to rub Tiger Balm on my chest. They had a son with severe asthma, and apparently my coughing was quite triggering. I consulted the doc a few times, and he said it was all in my head. That motherfucker. In any case, after I left this room, the cough disappeared completely. So, it was either a ghost or mold. Probably mold, if I had to guess. A moldy wardrobe. As soon as I could, I got rid of the second bunk bed and got a desk and chair. I never really used them, but it was an excuse to cut down by half the amount of people that could fit in the room. The house has central heating, but since this is the last room on the hallway, the heat barely gets here. Normally I like the top bed, but these ones are too wobbly. I am not a fan of bunk beds, I gotta say. Just not really into the whole concept at all. But that's just me. Alright, now for the right wing. There should be a fire extinguisher inside this box, but it's not here. Boots. They probably belong to the nurse. I think this is the nurse's room. The chief mechanic sleeps here. Okay, that's it for this area. I don't know who sleeps here. Fair enough. This is the internet access point for the East Wing. High up so no one can mess with it. This was once a whole kitchen, to be used in case the house got buried in snow. Some years ago, it was dismantled because the station chief didn't want people skipping breakfast in the main house. Since then, it's just an empty room with an electric kettle and some tea bags. Now, when the house gets buried in snow, people just stay hungry until they can be dug out. Ah, ye old boiler room. More plastic crates. I don't know what's inside them. It's probably not interesting. Fair. A handy crowbar. Empty blue barrels. These huge water heaters provide hot water for the showers and the heating. And that is that. Did I miss another door in here? Everyone seems to be sleeping. All good here. I did not miss a door. Okay. Just making sure. Okay, that took a minute. Now we can go up. The storehouse and the gym behind are the last buildings in this direction. All non-perishable food is stored here. A ship comes once a year with provisions for 2 years, just in case. Almost all food arrives past its due date anyway. Most of it stays here for many years, but it's eventually eaten. Cookies, crackers, and cartons of milk. This bag of cookies is just 3 years past its due date. Should I take some? Hell yeah. The biologist must still be in the lab. I should take this to him. Absolutely. These shelves have everything for snacking and tea time. Sugar, tea, tisane, coffee, coffee filters. You can take whatever you want from the storehouse. No one is going to control you. But you have to write down what you take in this notepad, for inventory reasons. Make sense? I'll mark down the cookies. It's full of candy. Ugh. Walking upstairs. These crates have toiletries, soap, shampoo, and toothpaste. If you want anything else, you have to bring it yourself. That's weird. This box is full of chocolate bars. We can't normally take them freely anymore, since we're about to run out of it. This is one of those top-opening fridges like the ones in stores. It doesn't work, and maybe it never did, but it's used to store cheese, hams, and salami. I have a top-opening freezer in my house. It's nifty. Toilet paper and a few boxes of this multi-purpose cleaning product to be used for everything. Since the water treatment is not thorough, we can't use anything with bleach or harmful substances. This thing is biodegradable and pretty neutral, but it doesn't do much cleaning. It's like a placebo. Through this window, you can see inside the office, and the person in charge can survey the storehouse more easily. That bottle of wine has been there since the last campaign, maybe even before that. Behind this door lies the office and the winery. It's almost the only door in the station locked with a key. One of the divers is in charge of running this place. She keeps track of the inventory, and rations whatever is in short supply so everyone can have some. Right now it's beer and chocolate. We only receive 1 can and 1 bar per week on pizza night. Seems pretty reasonable. Was there anything else up there? No. That's a multi-use building with a small cinema, a gym, and a storage for old equipment. Everything is turned off and not on fire. In summer, I was in charge of the cinema. Friday nights were for fictional films, Sunday afternoons for coffee and documentaries. Running the cinema was a lot of work. I had to do everything from choosing the film to making the popcorn. My films were not very popular, but the popcorn was. One night during a snowstorm, I lost most of the popcorn on the way here from the kitchen. People were disappointed, and many left. Their loss, the film was great. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. Made me cry and everything. I haven't seen that movie. Heard good things though. Needed another drink. Okay. That's everything here, I'm pretty sure, so we can go back and head to the right. This building is the powerhouse. It doesn't have doors, only holes, and it contains the generators, and it's also quite loud. The generators use Antarctic jet fuel to power everything in the station. It's very noisy and smelly. I don't even like walking past this place. This place also houses the cold storage, where we keep frozen meat and vegetables. When people die and can't be evacuated immediately, they're also stored in here. That is morbid. We had one dead this last summer. He was in there for about a week. The cook, who is very superstitious, wouldn't enter, so we ate canned food for most of that week. This jerry can has some fuel I can use for the skidoo. Yoink. These drums contain Antarctic jet fuel to feed the generator. This is the running generator. There are a total of 4 like this one. 2 don't work at all, but are used to scrap for parts. The other 2 are used alternately and changed every fortnight. That's a period of about 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure. This door just opens to the sea. I'm not sure what's its purpose, but I think it has to do with loading fuel from boats. The temperature inside the cold storage room is negative 20 degrees Celsius. Noted. That is negative 4 degrees Fahrenheit for us Celsius-challenged individuals. There's nothing interesting inside. Fair enough. The antechamber here is used to keep fresh vegetables and fruit for a while after they get to the station in summer. They don't last long, but it's something. This year, though, everything came down from the ship already rotting. But we managed to eat some of it anyway. Ugh, I don't like the sound of that. These are the Antarctic fuel reservoirs. Antarctic fuel is jet fuel prepared to endure freezing cold. This building is completely empty. And also not on fire, I will note. This is the weather station. It's quite old and not at all automatic. The meteos are on duty every day and night, and they have to come up every 3 hours to check the measurements. This is a rain gauge. I have no idea how it works. It's a long open bottle with an antifreeze substance inside. Every once in a while, the meteo climbs to a ladder and puts a stick into it, then writes down a number, and that's it. This thing is an anemometer, a kind of weather vane to measure the wind. It's badly calibrated, missing the north for about 90 degrees. We've been telling this to the meteo for months now. Showed him compasses and geodetic data, but he doesn't want to change it. Sometimes people are stubborn like that. These glass balls measure the sun reflection by focusing the light onto a little strip of paper. The intensity is measured by checking how much the strip is burned that day. There are a few thermometers under this wooden pyramid. I guess they're one of the main elements of the weather station. This little house has a water pump to bring water from a lagoon at the back of the station. This way we have drinking water most of the year without much effort. That's handy. Before that, people had to bring ice from the glacier and melt it. Making water was a rotative duty, like doing the cleaning, or trash processing, or Imaginaria. And if you wanted to take a shower, You'd have to fish your own chunk of ice. This is the oldest house in the station, and my favorite place in the whole world. It used to be a summer shelter before the station was founded. Then it became the main biology laboratory. After the old lab was built, it then became a storage, and it held the CO2 project machines. The project hasn't been running for more than 10 years, but people still call me the CO2 after it. People change every year, but the positions are usually the same, so you become what you do. You can be the doc, the cook, the chief, the meteo, the biologist, the XO, the CO2. Some years ago, the satellite links were set up, then the seismograph and the other projects. That's when the Earth Scientists / Telecom Lab was officially founded. And this year, it's mine. There are 2 satellite links that bring us the internet. The oldest one is a 256 kbps symmetrical connection, very stable. We use it for the telephone and important projects that send data permanently, like the seismographs. The new one is asymmetrical, with about 1 Mbps download speed, but really bad upload. We use that one for the internet, but it gets clogged every time someone sends a voice message or a video. Now it's not so bad, but it's not easy sharing these connections with 150 other people in the summer. I can imagine. This is the submarine. It's not really a submarine, just a metal storage unit where I keep the big tools. Here we are in the lab, and I need another drink. Educational content dries out your throat pretty fast, it turns out. Anyway. Yep. Handy shovel. The thermal breaker for this building. Home sweet home. The office. Blah, blah, blah. When it rains in summer, the door swells and it's hard to move. I keep this crowbar to pry it open when it happens. This computer is old as sin, but it still manages to do what it should. Send data and keep the inventory files. My first duty as chief of this lab is to keep the Earth Scientists project working all year round. Science is, not scientist. In summer, many researchers and students come to take samples and set up the projects. But then they leave, and only us, the winter crew, stay to keep everything running. Since we're next to the sea, cables and connections get salt buildup and they often break. Things also suffer from snow, ice, freezing weather, and curious animals and people. My second duty is to keep the internet working, and it seems to be all people care about. This is a headlight, a light you strap to your head so your hands don't freeze that much. We found this cheese forgotten between 2 shelves in the storehouse. It's a bit green and mossy, but that only improves the taste. I sincerely hope that is not serious. A kettle to make tea. There's black tea and Linden to sing. Some weeks ago, guests came from another station and a small plane called Twin Otter. There's a runway up in the glacier that can be used in winter, when the ice is consolidated enough. They told us in their station all the tisane is lemon verbena. Yet another station got all the chamomile. I know exactly how this happened. Somehow it bothers me more than the rotten vegetables. This brick on top of the stove helps heat up the place much faster than any electrical heater. This is a little fridge we use in summer to keep butter and beer. It's just a hole in the inner wall, nothing fancy. An empty tuna can? I thought we ran out of tuna months ago. This hatch leads to a small storage area where we keep rolls of wire, mostly. That sentence wasn't going where I thought it would. That's fine. Okay, door number 2. This is a very small WC, almost the only place we can keep properly heated, so we're making beer in it, as one does. The racks. The machines inside this rack handle the server for the station network that distributes the internet to every house. The second rack has some old devices used with an old satellite link that doesn't work anymore. And there's also the voice over IP telephone central. Telephone central. Again, that sentence wasn't going where I thought it was. Third rack has the machines for the current satellite links. I was trained to handle this equipment for a total of 8 hours. I'm afraid that if it suddenly stopped working, I wouldn't know what to do. Considering I wouldn't be able to check on the internet how to fix it. That's a mood. This machine is the last remnant of the CO2 project. I don't know how it works or what it was used for, but it involved big amounts of isopropyl alcohol that we have stored in the submarine. I can see the submarine from here. It's a storeroom full of old machines from long-dead projects. That's it for this room, I think. When the station is too overcrowded, sometimes the CO2s sleep here. Or when the CO2s are too antisocial. I don't like people sleeping here, but we still keep a mattress for other purposes. Let you dwell on that for a second while I get a drink. A rolled up mattress. To the northeast, there's the glacier. This glacier, as many others around the world, is shrinking rapidly. We keep track of this in a few ways. There's a camera fixed outside this building that takes pictures of the glacier every 3 hours. This project has been running for many years now. An automatic weather station on top of the glacier takes measures on temperature, wind speed, humidity, and more. And finally, there are 10 stakes planted around the glacier that we check every 2 weeks. We have to measure the height from the ground to a little mark at the stake and take a picture, just in case. The seal's also in this direction. I could pay it a visit, but I'll need a light. I think there's one in the office. This radio antenna receives information from the automatic weather station on top of the glacier. This data is also stored to a memory card that we have to change every 15 days or so. Glacier work is fun, but it can get really cold up there. A water reservoir. This radio antenna receives information from the geodesy project. I can go check it if I take the skidoo. To the southwest, there's the protected area and the geodesy project. Antarctica as a whole is protected under the Antarctic Treaty that stipulates the land can't be exploited or claimed. Only science is allowed here. The Antarctic specially protected areas are even more protected, and no one can enter without a permit. The one around here starts just after the lighthouse to the west and extends for around 9 kilometers along the beach. There are elephant seal colonies, some fur seals too, giant petrels and penguin colonies, gentoos and adelies. The biologist has a permit to enter the zone, with a +1, usually me. He does every week a mammal census, counting how many seals are on the beach and which types. I like helping with that job. It's a great excuse for leaving the station for a while. There are not many animals now, but once in summer we counted over 100 fur seals. Let's go get that light from the office. I'll need this if I want to go see the seal. There we go. I could go visit the seal. That's over there, but first we'll go up here. This is the radio station, or what's left of it. It burned down a week after the last ship sailed after summer ended. We still don't know exactly what happened. It was in the night, and the meteor gave the alert after his 4 o'clock run. This place was the headquarters too, and sometimes the chief slept here. But that night he stayed over at the main house, because it was too cold. Saved his life, but he lost all of his belongings. His uniform and dress shoes, a toy horse. He cried over that up in my office while we tried to re-establish the internet to the rest of the station. Sometimes I can't sleep thinking about my office burning down too. I'll imagine getting out of my room and seeing the pink gleam over the glacier. This is the incident that brought back the Imaginarias. Some people got really upset about them. The cook lost it, and now he does even a worse job than before. The doc doesn't even do them. Me? I don't mind the Imaginarias. I'm often restless at night anyway, mood. Since the chief had accommodations here, there was a small kitchen and shower, run with natural gas. We were scared the gas tanks would blow up, but they didn't. Just in case, we never really touched them. They're still here, seemingly intact. Only remains the foundation of the building and the external metal steps. Everything else, made of wood and rubber, has disintegrated. Let's go see the seal. I was mistaken in my consent warning earlier. It's not a dead whale, I don't think. It's a dead seal. The biologist wanted to come with. Should I... Let's call him. Almost everyone in the station has a radio, so we have a code with the biologist. Pressing the button on the radio makes this little tsk-tsk sound, and he'll know it's me. Tsk-tsk. Tsk-tsk. He'll be here soon. The seal is dead. It died at the end of summer. We saw it crawling this way one time we were going to the glacier. It found this spot and stayed. Next time we passed by it was dead, but looking just as we had seen it the last time. The dead here don't decompose a lot, and don't stink either. The skuas did eat the eyes though. Hello, friend. Did you miss us? When seals die, the mammals team takes their head for studying. This crab-eater got to keep its head, for it died a few days after the team left the station. Luckily, no one asked us to saw it off. I wonder if I'd do it, if given the task. Probably not. This little slope is great to lie down and enjoy the silence. The snow around absorbs any noise that may reach it. Same with the wind. For some reason, it never gets quiet here. It's like a vortex. Quiet. Neutral. And all I can think about is how I don't want to hypothetically saw off the seal's head. I won't do it. What are you thinking? Nothing. You? I was just thinking I'd love to die in this very spot. What, like, right now? Not right now. When I'm old. It's the perfect place. Okay, but you can't die before the summer. See you later? I need to take out the last filter, but that's about it. Sure. I still have the snacks. Maybe I should... give him the snacks. I have something for you. Thanks, I was starving. Here. Thanks. You're welcome. Alright. Let's navigate our way back to the skidoo. This is not the right way. Here it is. Should I take the skidoo? Absolutely. Okay, let's go. This is the repair shop. They fix, or at least try, all machines that run on diesel. Boats, skidoos, ATVs, even the generators. Sometimes they forget the heaters on, but normally the Midnight Watch would notice. Nothing on fire. A part of this gate was literally cut off because boats couldn't get through. Seems to be it for here. This is the garbage incinerator. It doesn't work very well, so we only burn toilet paper. Everything else gets sorted and kept in these old tanks for shipping back to the mainland. Waste that can't be incinerated, that is, most of it, is sorted by type and put inside these drums. The drums are labeled according to the contents in one of 4 groups, and once a year they're sent back. Group 1, biodegradable solids like food leftovers, paper, and wood. Group 2, non-biodegradable solids like plastic, rubber, and synthetic fibers. The ashes from burnt Group 1 come here too. Group 3, dangerous substances. This group is further classified in one of 46 types of dangerous waste, and should include also any element contaminated with those substances. Group 4, inert solids. This is anything that doesn't really harm the environment, like glass, metal, bricks, or concrete. The incinerator works at most once a week, and that's when the station is full. The power is shut down. But the thermal breakers here also control the electricity for the geodesy project that's a bit further away. After garbage duty, every time they turn everything off, and I have to come here and restart geodesy. I've told the nurse, who's also in charge of waste management, many times about this, but he keeps ignoring it. I've put many signs, and even tried to fix the switch with duct tape, to no avail. Excuse me? Alright, moving right along. This is the farthest reach of the station, and it's also part of my domain, the geodesy project. In summer, a couple of skuas nest here in these rocks and try to bite me every time I come check the computer. Skuas are scary. They're also very cute. Not that I'm biased or anything. Squawk. This lighthouse is not connected to the station. I don't know what it's running on. I've never seen anyone do any service to it or anything. There's another one just like it deeper into the cove, and it's the same there. This is the GPS antenna. It receives and sends geolocalization data for geodesic purposes. Geodesy is all about measuring the shape of the Earth and the gravity field. These antennas can only be installed on top of bedrock. I guess it gives a bit more stability to the point in space, but I don't really know the reason. It's like that song. And all this science I don't understand. It's just my job, 5 days a week. I was going to look up what this was a reference to, but I forgot to. You can Google it on your own time, I'm sure. This is the M rock. It's a rock, shaped kind of like an M, that marks the entrance of the cove. Doesn't look like it's on fire. The data from the GPS antenna is processed a bit here, and then sent to my office through a radio link. This ancient computer receives data from the GPS antenna and stores it locally in its 80GB hard drive. The data is then sent to the main server in my office, and from there to the Institute servers in the mainland. Every few months I have to do a backup of the hard drive and wipe it so it can keep receiving data. There's probably a better way to do this, but Antarctica seems to be frozen in time, so to speak. Computers don't like the cold, so we need to keep a heater on at all times in winter. Close that back up before we leave. Yes, let's... Okay, what is still on our to-do list? I've checked everything. Now we just need to go sign the Imaginaria log in the mess hall. Alright. Is that in here? It is. That's it. I've signed and I can go back to bed now. Lovely. Finished already? That's right. I'm going back to bed. What a coincidence. Me too. Why don't you come to my bed instead? It's warm and cozy. I have a heater in my tomato. I was talking about my chest hair. Oh my. So tempting. Come on, what do you say? Hell yeah. I knew you couldn't resist me. Sure thing. Let's go. A little bit of gay to cap off this game. That was Imaginaria. It's a neat little game. I like it quite a bit. And if any of this seemed interesting to you, I'll put a link in the description to where you can download it. The developer has made a few other games. I haven't checked those out yet, but they do seem interesting. Who knows, they might be featured on my channel at some point. But until then, enjoy the sauté, and I'll see you in the next video.